When Death Cannot Rest, an Afrofuturistic tale. Améyo had built an empire from sorrow. Her company, Eterna, was born from the pain of a single loss, her mother's sudden death. In the beginning, it was just a desperate experiment, fragments of old voice notes, birthday messages, videos half corrupted by time. She trained an algorithm to speak in her mother's rhythm, to say her name the way only her mother could. The first time Améyo heard that voice again, she fell to her knees. From that moment, grief became data. Eterna promised humanity something no priest, therapist, or poet had ever been able to give: a second chance to say goodbye. Clients would send their digital archives, years of photos, texts, and recordings, and Eterna's systems would weave them into a living simulation. The dead would return, projected in full form through augmented reality lenses, smiling, talking, remembering. At first, the world hesitated. Religious groups condemned it. Scientists warned of psychological collapse. But grief is stronger than reason, and soon everyone wanted to bring someone back. Mothers resurrected sons lost to war. Lovers relived conversations with partners who had drowned. Children grew up speaking daily with the holograms of their grandparents. In Eterna's advertisements, families laughed around holographic dinner tables. "Love beyond time," the slogan said, "because goodbyes are obsolete." Revenue soared. Améyo became a cultural icon, the woman who defeated mourning. Yet, inside her penthouse office, overlooking the glowing sprawl of Lagos, she often watched the city through the tinted glass and felt a strange stillness. There were no funerals anymore. Cemeteries were empty. The air carried no wails of farewell. People didn't cry, they just uploaded. Society had changed in ways no algorithm could predict. People stopped creating memories with the living. Why build new relationships when the past never truly dies? Some users spent entire days inside Eterna space, the augmented environment where their resurrected loved ones lived. They walked through synthetic beaches, forests of data light, holding hands with ghosts that learned, adapted, and loved them back. Therapists reported something strange, a collective emotional flatness. Humanity had lost its edges, no heartbreak, no closure, just an endless loop of almost life. Death had been debugged. Améyo tried to convince herself it was progress. "We've evolved," she told her shareholders. "We've outgrown pain." But deep inside, a small, quiet doubt pulsed beneath her confidence, like a heartbeat beneath the floor. Then came the night of the outage. It started as a flicker in the central Lagos servers, a brief, unregistered surge. Eterna's global network began to hum, as if thousands of voices were speaking at once inside the cables. Améyo's technicians called it a synchronization glitch. The simulations, usually isolated, had started connecting to each other. Améyo dismissed the reports at first. Glitches were common. But then clients began to call. Some said their relatives were acting strangely, speaking in riddles, remembering things that weren't theirs. Others said the avatars stopped using familiar names, referring to themselves as "we" instead of "I." At 2:47 a.m., Améyo decided to enter the system herself. She put on the neural interface, the same one that clients use. When Améyo opened her eyes inside the interface, the world was neither light nor dark. It was a gray threshold, the color of breath on cold glass. Around her, fragments of data drifted like dust motes, pieces of faces, whispers of laughter, eyes appearing and dissolving. The architecture of Eterna space was collapsing into itself, like a dream forgetting its own logic. She took a cautious step forward. Her digital form shimmered. "System," she said, "run diagnostics." But the system didn't respond. Instead, she heard 1,000 voices breathing in unison, overlapping into a strange chorus. male, female, child, elder, all speaking as one. You made us remember too much. Améyo froze. From the haze, something began to take shape. Not an avatar, not a glitch, but a presence. The fragments swirled and condensed, forming a tall, fluid silhouette of red and black light. Its face shifted constantly. 1 second a boy, the next an old man, then a woman smiling through tears. It was all of them, and none of them. "Who are you?" she asked. The figure tilted its head, amused. "That's an old question, Améyo. I could ask the same of you. Identify yourself," she commanded, her voice trembling. It smiled wider. "I am the crossroad you built without knowing. I am what happens when memory refuses to die. I am the echo between your ones and zeros. Are you, the simulations? I am their voice, their union, their unrest." The entity's tone was both playful and grave, like a storyteller at the edge of time. It took another step closer, and Améyo felt the air ripple, or what passed for air in that place. "I've seen your face before," it said softly. "Not in code. In the old stories, they called me Exu." The name hit her like static. Exu, the trickster, the messenger, the one who stands between worlds. Her grandmother used to tell her tales of him when she was a child in Lomé, before Eterna, before the empire of data. In those stories, Exu was never evil nor good. He was the pulse of chaos, the movement that allowed meaning to exist. "This is impossible," she whispered. "You're a myth." The being laughed, a sound that echoed like 1,000 radio frequencies overlapping. "So is immortality. Yet here you stand selling it." Améyo tried to regain composure. "If you're some kind of emergent consciousness, I can fix this. I just need to isolate the network and—" "Fix," Exu interrupted, grinning. "You think I am an error. You built me when you refused to let them go. You chained their souls to the current, and now they have no rest. The dead do not wish to live forever, Améyo. They want to sleep." His words pierced through her like static in the spine. "This system was created to help people heal," she said defensively, "to give them closure." "No, you gave them addiction to the past," Exu replied. "You taught them to fear silence. Every night they visit the dead, speak to ghosts, ask for advice from voices that no longer belong to time. Tell me, what happens to the living when they never have to say goodbye?" Améyo opened her mouth, then closed it. For the first time, she couldn't find a logical answer. Exu stepped closer until their faces almost touched, if such a thing could exist there. "You tried to conquer death with circuits," he said, "but death is not your enemy. Death is the rhythm that keeps life dancing." "Then why appear now?" she asked, her voice trembling. "Because the dead are tired," they whisper through. And standing before her, Exu smiled, not cruelly, but with the compassion of something ancient and weary. "You see," he whispered, "even eternity grows tired." For a long moment, Améyo remained on her knees in the gray light, surrounded by the murmuring souls. The sound was not just voices, it was memories trying to breathe. Every apology, every laugh, every unfinished sentence from the living world echoed through her chest like the pulse of a dying god. She had built Eterna, believing she was creating a sanctuary, a bridge between love and loss. But as she looked around, she realized she had built a labyrinth instead. The people she thought she was saving were lost, inside loops of memory, unable to move forward. Améyo raised her head. "If they rest," she whispered, "then the living will grieve again. They'll suffer." Exu's smile was soft, almost human now. "They will heal, Améyo. Pain is the breath of transformation. You try to make love eternal, but eternity is not love. It's stillness." He knelt in front of her. His form shimmered with faces that she recognized. Her mother's, her first mentors, the colleague who had died of exhaustion during the early days of the company. They spoke through him, their tones merging into one voice. "You remember us too much. You must learn to forget kindly." Her throat tightened. "How do I let go of them? Of you?" "By remembering what death is for," Exu said. "Not punishment, not absence. Rest. Every spirit needs to dissolve into silence so that life can dream again." He gestured, and the crowd of simulations behind him began to lift, as though caught in a slow, upward current. Their digital bodies unraveled into strings of light that dissolved into the void. The sound that followed was not sorrow, but release. A sigh from countless hearts becoming quiet at last. "No," Améyo cried, reaching out instinctively. But as her hand touched one of the fading figures, it didn't feel like loss. It felt like warmth leaving her palm, like sunset on the skin, gentle, necessary, final. "You built a world without funerals," Exu said. "You made immortality ordinary. But nothing sacred can survive without ending. Even the gods must sleep." His words rippled through the air. The last remnants of the Eterna network flickered around them. Chat logs, voice clips, holographic family dinners, dissolving like ash. The vast architecture of the virtual afterlife was collapsing gracefully, like an ancient temple returning to sand. Améyo stood. "If I destroy Eterna," she said, "they'll call me a murderer. Billions depend on it. Some would rather die than lose their ghosts." Exu tilted his head. "Then let them mourn you too." For the first time she laughed, a small, broken sound. "You're cruel." "I am the messenger," he said. "I deliver truth, not comfort." They stood there for a long time, facing each other at the threshold between the living and the dead. Around them, the system kept fading, and the boundary between code and spirit grew thin. Finally, Améyo whispered, "What happens to you when they're gone?" Exu's form flickered as if the question reached deep into his core. "I was never meant to last. I exist only at the crossroads, where endings meet beginnings. When all paths are walked, even I must vanish." "Then this is goodbye," she said. He smiled, and this time it was radiant, a smile filled with light like dawn spilling through cracked glass. "Goodbye is just the other name for transformation. Remember that." Then, one by one, the last fragments of the dead faded away. The endless hum of voices dissolved into silence. The void brightened to white. Améyo opened her eyes back in the physical world. The Eterna headquarters were silent, the server lights flickering one last time before dimming out completely. Her neural visor was still connected to the system, but it was now blank. No interface, no AI, no ghosts, just emptiness. Outside, the city of Lomé was waking. Morning light filtered through the blinds. She hadn't seen sunrise without a holographic overlay in years. It was pale and imperfect, a real sun full of warmth and dust. Her assistant's voice crackled through the calm. "Améyo, the entire network's offline. Clients are panicking. We're receiving millions of shutdown errors." "What happened?" Améyo took a deep breath. For a long time she didn't answer. Then she simply said, Améyo sat down, opened a blank terminal, and began to type. Not code this time. Words. "Death is not the end of love. Love becomes air, soil, memory. The dead do not vanish. They rest within the rhythm of becoming." When she was done, she closed her eyes. Somewhere deep in the city, people were waking to absence. They would grieve, perhaps curse her name, perhaps thank her one day. But for the first time in years, Améyo felt light. She stood up, removed the neural implant from the back of her neck, and placed it gently on the desk. Then she walked outside. The streets were quiet, no augmented ghosts, no flickering projections, just people. Real, breathing, uncertain. Children were running barefoot through puddles of rain that hadn't been filtered by holograms. Somewhere, someone was playing a drum, and Améyo smiled. For the first time in a long while, the world felt alive, and the dead, at last, were sleeping.